Alright, so a little bit of oil and your garlic, onions, shallots, peppers, whatever you dig. I like to cut up nice and small. That way they'll caramelize down and be a pretty smooth sauce at the end. Alright, the next step, once we get a little caramel on the onions, garlic, whatever you're putting in, is to add our tomato paste. When something's sticky like this, a nice little trick is I put a little hole in the bottom, whether you want to use a knife or whatever, and you just blow on that hole and it frees it and shoots it right out. You don't even have to use a spatula or anything. It gets everything right out of there. So then I brown this up. As this caramelization continues to occur, I let the tomato paste get a little caramelization while these onions and garlic and whatever else is finishing up caramelizing. Alright, after you get a nice layer of caramelization down here, you can add your favorite tomato sauces, purees, whatever is on sale, whatever your favorite is, whatever. That'll deglaze the pan with the acidity here. You don't have to use a wine or anything like that, or a vinegar. And we're going to add as many as you want. I have, I think, about 8 of them that size, and I'm going to let it reduce down by about half over the next 6 hours or so, and add my seasonings. Alright, after I get about the 8 28-ounce cans in there to the 1 can of paste, I'm going to add a little bit of butter. I'm going to use a little bit of Italian seasoning and a little bit of thyme and salt, pepper, and a little bit of baking soda. That's going to reduce the acidity a little bit. As you see, this will start bubbling and change the pH level. So I am going to reduce this down to about half. And 2 tips I got from doing this over a long time is you want to keep this temperature on slow and low, and a little net to go over the top if you have one. A little splash net is good because you're going to get little pieces and bubbles going as this slowly bubbles and evaporates over hours and hours. And of course, something to stir with where you can free all the particles from the bottom of this, you know, as often as you can. I wouldn't suggest that you stand there completely for hours and hours, but that would be best case scenario if you could stir it continuously. I know that's not possible, but like I was saying, the sediment will settle to the bottom here, and you want to keep that from happening because you don't want it to burn. That's why we keep the temperature low also. Alright, we're going to add our meat here, our sweet and hot Italian sausage. That's what I like to put in. You can do your own meatballs or whatever, but I do 2 to 1, sweet to hot. What we're going to do is keep these whole and sear them just so they brown a little bit on the outside, and then we're going to let them finish off in the sauce itself for the next few hours. What that'll do is it'll trap a lot of that juice and oil from the sausages inside them, so it won't all be lost in the pan, and it won't dry the meat out, okay? So they don't have to be fully cooked when you get them out of this pan, just enough to give them a nice snap on the outside. If you want to add your own meatballs or add no meat at all, that's fine. I just think these sausages add nice flavor to their oils. Alright. So we got a nice little sear on here. As you can see, almost none of the oils have come out. There's not a lot of juice in this cast iron pan. Most of it is still inside these sausages. That flash sear really is going to keep a lot of the oils and juices and flavors and moisture inside of this sausage here. So we're going to let them finish right here in our sauce for the next few hours. Like I said, if you wanted to, you can cut them in half at this point. I'm going to leave them whole for the most part, just because it's a little easier for me to manage. But I just want to cut one to show you guys that these are not fully cooked, okay? Quite the opposite, alright? And that's why we have to make sure that our sauce comes to a boil and stays that way for several hours, because we're actually going to be finishing off these sausages that have a nice sear in our sauce, okay? So all of that is going to go right into here, and they're all going to finish off in here, okay? Beautiful for flavor. So we're going to come to a low simmer. Our sausages are going to put off some nice oil, and we're just going to keep reincorporating that in and stirring the stuff up off the bottom as this reduces down. And if you want, you can add a little bit of sugar just to sweeten it up. And then we'll use this sauce to make a lasagna. Hope you enjoyed this bolo.